it's like the idea that I think a lot of women have about what would happen if you took away your female name from, you know, your directing credit. What if you put your initial? How would the film play? You know, what would happen? It's just an interesting experiment, and you know, I've attempted to do it, and I still entertain that notion. Just now I have to use a pseudonym or whatever, but not to be a trick, not to make a hoax, not to make a publicity stunt, but literally just wondering, because we all think we know, sometimes we can detect who was a female director, who was a male director. And it just opens up in a gentle way, not in a hostile way. It's like,
let's talk about this issue. Listen, it's nothing new. George Eliot was,
yes.
It goes back far. Yeah. And also the issue of Catherine Bigelow getting an Oscar and people going, well, it wasn't really a female film. It's like, we don't want to make female films, we want to make films.
Just to add to that, because I think that's a really great question. You know, in society, we have monikers to describe. I mean, this is before we get to film or art form, right? We have, well, pink is girl, blue is boy. Like, it goes on and on and on. So it sort of has to sort of change on that level as well, so that we can get past, you know, is it male or female? So with the American side, it's noir, and people have said like, oh, you directed a noir? I don't know that gets said to the male directors who do a romantic comedy, you know? So it's a really interesting, along the same lines, like how do the stories live without a gender?
Okay.
Well, Martha Coolidge was wanting to, her agent is, by the way, a great agent, because I produce Coopertown, and he writes all the time about wanting her to do Coopertown, the show I'm on, and of course I'd give anything to work with her. But yeah, it's funny that people. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm in a little bit different of a situation because I'm a woman director, but I'm also an actor. So getting jobs, being an actor, I kind of need it in some ways to be able to get the job. My fame or whatever, because if I was just a woman director, I think that would be really hard. So it's kind of. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but
so what you seem to be saying is you're a different case because you.
Yeah, like I don't want to just use an initial at this point because then no one would go to my movie. I'm gonna put like Monica. But I agree.
And the number of statistics are abysmal. They haven't changed since the 70s. But I think the reason is I don't think it's kind of specific sexism holding women down. I think it's institutionalized. I think Hollywood in particular is afraid to take risks. And people like to finance films directed by directors who've made many films before, and statistically they're more likely to be men. So I think it's a self-perpetuating system unless we actively work against it. I mean, I just graduated from NYU and half our class was women, which was the first time that's ever happened. So there are women directors out there, hundreds of them, who want to make films. It's a matter of them finding the financing.
What does fiercely independent mean to you?
Fiercely financed, like, you know, scraping it up. My movie is financed independently. Obviously, I actually financed it myself. It just means without the backing of studios and just really, you know, exactly what I did.
Yeah, and you're someone that's had both extreme like commercial success and have thrived independently. Do you think this changes your definition of success within the film industry that makes it different from people that just work in independent or just work in commercial?
Do I think it did what?
Do you think it like changes your definition personally of success versus people that stay in one aspect?
Well, I mean,
of the
for
industry?
me, it's a personal, you know, goal of mine to direct. I love it, and so that's a personal success for me that I've directed this film, and I'm proud of it. It's something that I'll continue to do for sure. I'll keep acting. My show's over in December, and I'm sure I'm going to develop another show for myself, but hopefully, and then I'll just keep doing this because this is where my passion lies, really.
Being at Woodstock at the Woodstock Film Festival is a huge pleasure because it's got all the ingredients to make an excellent festival. It comes in a great package, a small town where you can actually walk to places, see people, excellent spread of very diverse films, so I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Begin with fiercely independent is a good mantra. You know, the word fierce is a good English word, right? Independent has gotten diluted and complicated, but put them together, and I guess it's just if you're you're going to drink out of a mug that says fiercely independent, the first thought in your morning is going to be, let me think my thoughts. Let me try to do this. Let me, it's like, let's go, let's do, let's try. So I think that's what fiercely independent is. Is the idea that the thoughts you have are possible to stick to.
I like that. So your film is praised for its in-depth portrait of a character, and you talked a lot about portraying women as more realistic characters and giving them, even if it's negative, just more intense qualities. Do you think this would change how society views women as a whole if characters like this, more realistic, detailed portraits of women were portrayed in film?
Oh, I do. I think, I think anytime we see diversity on screen, whether it be racial, economic, or gender, it opens up the possibility of who we think others are, right? And I think anything that gets stale and repeated, it's ripe for prying open and showing the other side of that. Recently I saw a documentary that had an amazing mother in it. And I've always felt in the fiction world, it's really hard to do good mothers on screen. They're either kind of saintly and sweet and understanding and soft-spoken, or they're sadistic, who've destroyed their kids' lives, who have, or they're spineless or they're nagging. It's like these attributes. And all of a sudden I saw this mother that was like sort of none of those things and all of those things. I was like, whoa, and it was a documentary.
Yeah.
She's a real mom on Long Island who had to face a challenging situation with a kid that was different than the kids around. It's like, and she was just a lot of different things all in one. I was like, I don't know how to do that in fiction. But in the real world, this mother exists, and she was all things, or many things, and so how to get that back on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.